Okay, you know that guy. The one who never seems to be chasing anybody. He's not cold. He's not playing some game. He's definitely not ignoring texts on purpose. Women just gravitate toward him. And your first thought is probably, okay, it's the job or the looks or the car he drives. No, honestly, it's almost never that. I've seen this play out enough times to know it's really about what's happening in his head before he even walks in a room. So stick with me here because I want to break down 5 mindsets today, the actual wiring behind guys who never have to chase. Not pickup lines, not tricks, real mindsets. But before I dive deeper, let me give you a quick rundown of what we're getting into. Number 1, the abundance mindset and why that's actually the opposite of arrogance. Number 2, why he treats rejection like weather, not some verdict on who he is. Number 3, the one mindset that kills neediness at the root. Number 4, why he just never negotiates for someone's attention. And number 5, the one most guys get totally backwards, why he's picky on purpose. Now let's get into it. Number 1, the abundance mindset. And I gotta be careful here because the second people hear abundance mindset, they think arrogance or juggling 5 women at once or some fake bravado thing. But that's not what I'm talking about. The real thing is way quieter than that. It's just genuinely believing that this one date, this one text thread, isn't your only shot at connection. That's it. That's honestly the whole thing. But here's why it matters so much. The second you believe something's your only shot, you grip it. You overthink the text. You're rereading her reply 5 times looking for some hidden meaning that isn't there. You say yes to plans you don't even want because you're scared of what happens if you say no. And that scarcity mindset makes you desperate, whether you mean for it to or not. Real talk for a second. Be honest with yourself. Have you ever said yes to plans you didn't actually want? Just because saying no felt like losing your only shot? That's not you, by the way. That's scarcity talking. Now, a guy who's actually operating from abundance isn't distant. And he's not faking being unbothered. He's genuinely fine either way, because his whole sense of what's possible isn't riding on this one outcome. And here's the thing. You can't fake that convincingly for very long. It's got to actually be true, which means it comes from actually building a life you like, whether she's in it or not. Number 2, rejection is weather, not verdict. Honestly, this one changes everything once it actually clicks. Guys with this mindset treat rejection like weather, not a verdict on who he is. Think about how most guys process a no. It turns into evidence. Evidence that they're not enough, not attractive enough, not interesting enough. One rejection, and suddenly it's a whole referendum on their entire worth as a person. But here's a different way to look at it. Weather just happens. It's not personal. It says nothing about your character, and tomorrow it could be completely different. A no from one person tells you about a match, timing, chemistry, whatever the circumstances were. It doesn't tell you anything about your value as a human being. And guys who never chase, they've basically internalized that distinction. A no stings, sure, for like a minute, and then it's just data, not a verdict. And because it's not a verdict, they don't feel the need to fight it, argue with it, or try to talk someone out of it. They just move on to the next thing, genuinely fine. Number 3, the mindset that kills neediness at the root. This is where it gets interesting because this one actually explains the first 2. Here's the thing about neediness. It's not really about texting too much or being too available. Those are just symptoms. The actual root of it is needing someone else's interest just to feel okay about yourself. If your whole sense of worth depends on whether she replies, you're going to act needy. Doesn't matter how many rules you follow about waiting 3 hours to text back. The rules don't fix the root cause. They just hide it for a while until it leaks out somewhere else. The guy who never chases has actually done the unglamorous work of building a sense of okayness that doesn't depend on any one person's attention. Could come from his work, his friendships, his own goals, his own opinion of himself. Doesn't really matter where. It just matters that it's coming from inside, not from her. And once that's solid, you literally don't feel the impulse to chase anymore because you're not missing anything that only she can give you. Quick gut check. If she didn't text you back for 2 days right now, would your mood actually change? And if it would, that's not some character flaw. That's just useful information about where your worth is currently sitting. Number 4. He never negotiates for attention. Ask yourself this. Have you ever actually tried to convince someone to like you? Reminded them of your good qualities? Tried a little harder after they pulled back, hoping that if you just put in enough effort, it'd eventually tip the scales? Here's the thing I need you to sit with for a second. Attraction doesn't respond to negotiation. If someone's not into you, no amount of "let me remind you why I'm great" is going to change that. And honestly, trying usually makes it worse because it signals you already sense you're losing and you're just trying to argue your way out of it. The guy who never chases doesn't negotiate because he's not so attached to any one outcome that he needs to. If interest starts fading, he doesn't come back with more effort. He just puts his attention somewhere it's actually being met. And that's not coldness, by the way. It's just refusing to burn energy trying to talk someone into wanting him. Number 5. He's picky on purpose. This is the one guys get backwards constantly. They think being open to anyone makes them more likely to find someone. It's actually the opposite. Here's why. If you don't have real standards, you literally can't tell early on whether someone's actually a good match for you. So you end up investing in people who aren't right out of fear that saying no just means waiting longer for someone better. And that fear right there is exactly what produces chasing. You end up chasing people you probably shouldn't even be chasing because you never gave yourself permission to want something specific in the first place. The guy who never chases has usually done the work of actually knowing what he wants. Not some fantasy checklist, just real clarity. And he's willing to pass on things that don't fit that. That pickiness isn't ego, by the way. It's the thing that protects his time and energy for someone who's an actual match, instead of spreading himself thin chasing every single person who shows him a flicker of interest. So here's the recap, real quick. You genuinely can't fake your way into any of these mindset for very long. They're just what happens when a guy's actually done the internal work instead of hunting for the right combination of words to say. That's the real difference between the guy who never chases and the guy who's just really good at pretending not to. One of those is durable. The other one's exhausting to keep up. So before you go, be honest with yourself for a second. Are you actually doing the internal work? Or are you just hoping the right script fixes something you haven't really dealt with yet? If this landed for you, drop a comment and tell me which of these 5 you're weakest on right now. No judgment, we've all got one. And hit subscribe if you want more of this, because we're just getting started.